In the beginning, the universe was created. This made a lot of people very angry and has been widely regarded as a bad move. Oh, hi! I didn't see you there. You see, I was just thinking about one of my favorite books, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy by the late Douglas Adams. This book is actually one of my favorites, and I just recently bought the entire series of books, 1 through 5. But that's not what we're talking today. That's not what we're talking about today. Sorry, my words must have gotten all jumbled up. No. Today, we are reviewing the film based on the book. So the first thing I want to talk about is this book good? Yes, it is. Next question, is the movie good? It kinda. So anyway, why don't we just kick things off with the plot? So, let's get into the plot of this film. So, the plot synopsis. Here's the absolutely hysterical, wonderfully wild, cosmic adventure comedy, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Based on Douglas Adams' worldwide best-selling novel and starring an outrageous intergalactic cast, this is one ride you don't want to miss. Seconds before Earth is destroyed to make way for a new hyperspace bypass, mild-mannered Arthur Dent is whisked away into space by his best friend. And so the misadventures begin as he and fellow travelers, including the cool but dim-witted president of the galaxy, the Earth girl Trillian, and Marvin the paranoid android, search for the answers to the mystery of life, the universe, and everything. So, this film is actually kind of funny, but the thing about this is, the jokes that actually work from the book. There are some jokes in here that do work, such as the part with where they're on Vogue Sphere, and every time they say, I have an idea, a giant thing comes and slaps them in the face. It's still just not as funny as the books. So the plot. The plot of this, I really only have one really major thing to talk about, and that is the addition of John Malkovich's character, Hamakavula. Hamakavula basically is like a high priest or whatever that ran against Zaphod Beeblebrox in the race to become president of the galaxy. Hamakavula did not show up in the books. at all. Which, this is based on the book. I don't know if he showed up in the radio series, but I'm seriously doubting that he did, considering the fact that the radio series is actually shorter than the first two books, which are based upon them. So the plot, basically, Earth is destroyed, and Arthur Dent finds out that his best friend, Ford Prefect, was an alien from a planet somewhere in the proximity of Betelgeuse. And then basically they end up on a Vogon ship. Now you might ask, what's a Vogon? Watch the movie. I am not good at explaining anything. So now let's get into the section that will probably be a little bit longer than this one right here. The characters. As I said earlier, this is probably going to be the longest section because of the fact that there are quite a few characters in this. But I'm not going to go through every single one of the characters. So first off, let's do Arthur Dent. Arthur Dent is the last man that survives. Well, he is a person that lives on Earth, and he's one of the last living human beings after the Earth is destroyed. And that's only because he is whisked away by his friend, Ford Prefect, who, as I said earlier, is an alien. And basically they end up on a Vogon ship, and all sorts of stuff happens. I'm trying to make this quick because it's very hot in here and I'm recording a video for some reason. But next is Ford Prefect. He is a field researcher for the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. And the one thing that I don't like about this movie is it had one of the jokes that I know was in the TV show that was one of my favorite jokes. The entry in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy for Earth, which was changed by Ford Prefect. Its original entry for Earth was harmless. And then when Ford Prefect edited it, it was made so much longer. Now it read mostly harmless, which is a very hilarious joke in my opinion. But so next, Zaphod Beeblebrox, the President of the Galaxy. His story is he kidnaps himself and steals a spaceship, the Heart of Gold, and goes on a quest to find the answer to life, the universe, and everything. And this is kind of where we have a problem between the books and the film. You see, in the original books, that was not what Zaphod Beeblebrox's quest was. In the books, and I'm assuming the radio series, his quest was to find the president, or the person who actually runs the galaxy. And that quest had been told to him by himself before he erased his own memory. So yeah, I just started realizing how confusing this book series is. But he did not kidnap himself in the book. And also, he was kind of different in the book. And there wasn't a part where they went to Vogue Sphere and he lost one of his heads and ended up as a moron. No. Also, his second head really didn't do much, and also his second head was next to him, and his third arm was right next to his right arm, not his second head being under his first one, and then his arm being on his chest for some reason. And it kind of feels like a missed opportunity because it says in the books, always says one of his heads was doing something and the other head was just staring blankly, which was really funny. And also the second head didn't do that much in the book. Just kind of sat there. Also, he had dark parts in the back of his brain, which that's how I figured out what his real quest was. So next is Zoe Deschanel as Trisha McMillan / Trillian. Oh yeah, I haven't been saying the cast members' names, have I? But anyway, Trillian, I don't really have as much to say about her. The way that she's different in this is that she didn't have the white mice, and also in the books, the person who gets kidnapped is not... There isn't anyone that gets kidnapped in the book. That whole part with Vogue Sphere did not happen in the book. The whole part with Hamakavula did not happen in the book. Blah, blah, blah. I'm starting to sound like a broken record. Another difference is that Trillian actually had the white mice that try to take Arthur's brain in the end. They were her pet mice, and they escaped. But in the movie, they're just on the ship. Next is the best character in this film. Marvin the Paranoid Android, voiced by Alan Rickman. I have something interesting to say about Marvin. I have no idea why he's named the Paranoid Android. He is not paranoid, he is severely depressed. Basically, he is a robot programmed with a genuine people personality. And his personality just so happens to be depression. And basically what he says a lot is, "Life, don't talk to me about life." Which he says a lot in the books. And also, I don't have an issue with the portrayal by Alan Rickman. Still really sad that he died. No, my problem with Marvin in this film is, why does he look depressed? Yeah, in the books he is depressed, but that's not what he was supposed to be like. No. For instance, in the show he had a smile because he was supposed to be like a robotic friend with a personality. Or as the show put it, your plastic pal. But in the film, his design is very short and small and depressed. He looks sad, which is not what he's supposed to be. Next is a character that is not in the book, so I'm not going to be comparing him to his book counterpart. John Malkovich, who plays Hamakavula. I actually think John Malkovich is a pretty good actor, even though I haven't really seen him in anything, but he does a really good job in this role, so I'm assuming that he's a really good actor overall. And Hamakavula in the movie is like sly and cunning, and basically gets them. He tells them where Magrathea is in exchange for them bringing him a point of view gun, which is also on Magrathea. So then he ends up getting one of Zaphod's heads, and then Zaphod like acts all dumb, like a moron, through the rest of the movie, which I really don't like. But another thing I'm going to talk about, the point of view gun was an idea by Douglas Adams, but unfortunately he died before he could put it in any of his books. So yeah, it wasn't in the books. And neither was the part where they go to the planet where Hanakavula is at, blah blah blah, broken record, yeah, all that. Next is Bill Nighy as Slarty Bartfast. I keep mispronouncing his name. I don't really have any issues with him. Slarty Bartfast he lives on Magrathea. He's a Magrathean, which Magrathea is actually wasn't as known for deep thought, the computer that would calculate the answer to life, the universe, and everything. I will talk about deep thought in a minute. But no, Magrathea was known for building planets. Also, in the books, Magratheans weren't really that great of people. Like, they ended up breaking the economy because of how expensive the planets were. So they just decided to freeze all of them. They just decided to freeze themselves until the economy fixed itself and people could afford custom-made planets again. So his character kind of is different because, first off, that's not what the Magratheans did. And second, he, instead of not continuing making the planet Earth, he decides they'll finish it and Arthur can have a home. That didn't happen in the books. They never completely finished Earthmark 2, and they ended up just trashing it and not messing with it ever again. Well, at least in what I've read so far. Next is Eddie the Computer. Now, Eddie the Computer is the computer on the ship who is completely happy all the time. And I kind of have a problem with one of the things that could have happened, because in the show they reprogrammed his personality, and then Eddie the Computer, instead of being happy all the time and being like, oh, I'm pleased as punch to tell you that 2 missiles are coming towards us, he ends up like pretty much a mother, and like, make sure you wear your coat and that kind of stuff, which was actually a pretty funny part. It was a pretty funny scene, and I enjoyed it very much. So next is the last character we're talking about. Finally, character section is over. Goodness, this video is going to be way too long. Final character. Drumroll, Deep Thought. Deep Thought is a supercomputer which was built by the Magratheans to calculate the answer to life, the universe, and everything, because everyone was always bickering about it. Another problem with characters that I have is they left out the... I forget his name, but he's like a psychiatrist guy. He shows up in the film and just is like when they're talking about Zaphod, and he's like, oh, he's just this guy, you know. Which he says a lot in the books. And it's kind of a running gag, I guess. But just says it once here. Basically, his role in the books is he's trying to stop Zaphod and the gang from He's trying to stop Zaphod and the crew of the Heart of Gold from finding the answer to life, the universe, and everything. Because it would kind of put psychiatrists and stuff out of business. Or, not psychiatrists, philosophers, I guess. Which is actually really funny. So, back to Deep Thought. So, the computer does calculate the answer to life, the universe, and everything. In 7.4 million years. And my problem with it is the delivery. Because in the books, it was like, come back to me in 7.5 million years. And it's like the people were like, only 7.5 days? Wow. And then it's like, million years. And it's like, oh no. And, which was a really funny joke from the book. It was, the books were hilarious. And then also, philosophers trying to stop them because, again, they'd be out of a job. So what is the answer that the ultimate computer, Deep Thought, comes up with? 42. Yeah, the answer to life, the universe, and everything, 42. The problem is, they now need to find what the actual question is. Which kind of flows over into the later books, which is hilarious. And so, yeah. Also, one of my favorite parts in the book, the restaurant at the end of the universe, is you find out that Arthur couldn't possibly know the answer because his ancestors, basically all humans' ancestors, were alien middlemen that crashed on the planet. Because the occupants of their planet hated all of them so much that they told them the planet was doomed and sent them in a ship ahead of everyone else, which the other ships did not actually ever leave, sent them to crash on the planet Earth. Which I thought was hilarious, that is why Arthur could actually not know the ultimate question. It's physically impossible for him to. Oh yeah, and the computer created to calculate the ultimate question was Earth. So, yeah. Alright, now let's get into my final thoughts. Okay, so, final thoughts on this movie. It's okay. It's not absolutely outstanding, and it's not horribly horrible. It's okay. It's not as good as the book, obviously. It left out a lot of the jokes. It added a bunch of stuff which wouldn't have had to been added if they had just put 2 books into 1 movie. Because the books really aren't that long. Like, they're smaller than a Harry Potter book, is what I'm saying. And so the book has a lot of jokes that unfortunately weren't able to make it into the movie, and the movie in some parts kind of fell flat. But I still think this film is really good, but not outstanding. I think they kind of missed opportunities at certain points, and so that is my review. This is Alexo63 signing off.